And we are live for another edition, or not another edition. This is actually the first edition of the Battle of the Sexes live chats. This is actually a new segment of my live chats that I decided to do. I wanted to pull together a whole bunch of different people, hopefully maybe the same group if we can get everybody together on a monthly basis. I'd like to do this once a month, but basically get an idea of people and things to talk about from two sides of the aisle, from the men's side and from the women's side. You know, naturally, we want to include our lovely ladies out in the Gundustry and get their perspectives on things. But at the same time, we need to have a viable conversation on how to spread more education and information to not only men, but women, especially with the gun industry being kind of a targeted industry towards men. I think that's changing, but we'll talk about those things. So real quick, I just want to say hey to everybody that's been waiting in the chat room. Thank you so much for swinging by. We got a lot of great people in there already. I saw that Izzy, hard tacos are the best long, has been sitting there waiting, has been first. GG, LFG, GG, he is in there. Good to see you, sir. Thank you for joining us. DeGrim Reaper, Andrew Dalton Ray, Alaskan Ballistics. We've got this crew called the Semi-Ardent Life. I'm not sure who they are, but they're in there. And Nico, good to see you. Thanks for the hookup earlier today. I'm really excited for that's coming up. And of course, we've got some of our panelists in there as well. So we're going to talk amongst ourselves, but we're also going to bring in some questions and comments from the chat room as well. So don't be bashful on sending questions or comments. We will get to them just as soon as we possibly can. Mystery Family, new subscriber as of today. Thank you so much for swinging by. I am super excited. So real quick, shameless plug for myself, because this is my channel. I run this. I'm heading this up. So I figured I'd go ahead and talk about myself for just a second, because that's usually everybody's favorite person to talk about. First and foremost, my channel would not be as possible as it is right now without my Patreon members. I sure do appreciate each and every single one of you. If you guys are interested, you're more than welcome to do that. I'm not asking you to do that, but that is one of the many ways that you can do to support the channel. So I really do appreciate it. One of the other ways that you can support the channel is swinging on by fitandfire.com. I've got a lot of different things over there that hopefully will save you guys some money, to include a brand new pistol on the homepage right now. I already bought it and it's waiting at my FFL right now. I'm super excited. I'm going to pick it up tomorrow. I'm going to shoot it this weekend. I'm going to have a video coming out real quick, and it may be a challenger to the P365. So we'll see if it's going to take its place for the new concealed carry pistol for myself. So with that being said, let's get to our panel. We've got three awesome people that's going to be talking about some really interesting stuff when it comes to women in the gun industry. And we'll go ahead and start it off with ladies first. Jackie, tell us about who you are, if the audience doesn't already know, where we can find you. And let's kick off a question here. Favorite pistol?
All right. Well, hello, everybody. I'm really excited to be here. I'm Jackie. And if you don't know me, I am a freelance gun journalist. So I write gun articles for the industry. You can catch me on guns.com, Shooting Sports USA, and concealcarry.com. You can also catch me over on Instagram. My handle is microjackie, and that's Jackie with an I, no E, because I'm special here. As far as my favorite pistol, I got to go with the classic, man. Glock 19. It's what I carry. So.
And that's actually pretty awesome. The fact that as Jackie's tag is the Micro Warrior, she is a powerhouse. All fit into what, 5'2"? Is that right?
5'2", yep.
Yeah, 5'2", and she carries around a Glock 19. So that's pretty awesome. So with that being said, let's swing on over to our other lovely lady in the panel tonight. That is Alana from the Semi-Armed Life. And tell us where we can find you and what is your favorite assault rifle? Ooh.
All right. Well, what's up, everybody? First of all, I thought we were going to battle tonight. I heard this was a battle of the sexes. So I don't know. Did you guys miss the memo, or it's just me? I don't know.
I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go.
So as far as my favorite rifle, I'd say right now it is this sucker right here. This is my Romanian paratrooper AK-47. I particularly like it, first of all, because it's my first AK-47. And second of all, because it's kind of bucks like a Bronco, so it's like taming the beast. So I really enjoy it.
Right on, right on. So with the podcast Semi-Armed Life, where can everybody find that?
Yeah, I forgot about that part. So I co-host the Semi-Armed Life with my boyfriend Mike. And you can find us on iTunes and SoundCloud. And on Instagram, my name is at Atlanta America, and you can find Semi-Armed Life at Semi-Armed Life.
Awesome. So real quick, mystery family, semi-armed or always armed, you'll have to tune into the podcast because they actually answer that specific question. Finally, our third member of the panel besides myself is Yehuda. Sir, where can we find you? What is some of the things of note from some of the things that you do, and what is your favorite caliber?
All right, so let's start off with the favorite caliber just because it's easy, it gets out of the way. I'm a big 9mm guy. It gets the job done. I don't think you need a 45. As much fun as they are to shoot and as big as the holes are when you shoot them, it just a well-placed shot with a 9 can do just as much damage, so to speak, if need be, if you have to use it. So I'm a 9mm guy. All my firearms are 9mm, so that's what I use. In terms of finding me, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter. My handle is the Pew Pew Jew, a Jew who's very vocal about Jewish gun ownership. That Jews should be armed. I mean, everyone should be armed as long as you're a good legal person. But Jews specifically should be armed. So that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. And of course, rounding out the panel is myself. Naturally, I will try to moderate the questions as well as interject my own ridiculous opinions. One of the things that I plan on doing is trying to be a bit of a devil's advocate. So some of the things that I may say don't necessarily reflect my own opinions. I will try to say it in the most sarcastic tone as possible so you guys know that I'm not being a jerk. But just one question I had for myself is, what is my favorite branch of the military? Any guesses from the panel?
Army.
You would think that, but actually...
I was going to say you look like a Navy guy.
No. That was my brother. So actually, favorite branch of the military? Space Force.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
Yes, Space Force. So, all right, let's just dive right into this. We're 8 minutes into the chat, and we've got a lot of stuff to cover. So let's just dive right into this. I'm going to pitch this over to the ladies because this conversation is focused completely on women in the gun industry this time around. So my question to the ladies is, why do women inherently destroy their own image in the gun industry? And I'm going to caveat that with a real quick picture that I'm going to try to get this up. I was unprepared for this. I thought I was going to be better prepared. But this is a picture that I screenshotted from Instagram. And this is kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to ask this question. Why do women inherently destroy their own image when it comes to social media? Pitch it to you, Atlanta.
Okay, cool. So first of all, I think that how do I say this? I want to say, first of all, that I'm no matter what, it's always good to get more women in the gun industry, right? I'd rather have a woman with a bad reputation in the gun industry as a friend than an anti-gun woman. All right. So I just want to put that out there first of all. But I think in terms of ruining their self-image and falling down the rabbit hole of gun bunnies, if you were, I think it is a very easy trap to fall into because, quite frankly, the gun industry idolizes women with horrible images. I mean, like you see companies sponsoring gun bunnies and just like attractive women online all the time to show off their products. And then these women, I mean, some of them might know how to use guns, and then other ones do things like in that picture that you showed where they holster guns without holsters and do unsafe practices. So I think that it's easy for women to fall into that because they're getting bolstered up by companies and other social media influencers. And so it's, you take a random woman, that happens to own a gun, put her in a bikini, and now all of a sudden she's Instagram famous. So, I mean, in our day and age where people are very narcissistic and really into just materialistic views and things, I think it's very easy for that to happen. So it doesn't surprise me that it happens very frequently in the industry.
So let me flip over to the other side of the coin, and I'll pinch it over to Yehuda. Why do you think that women inherently destroy themselves in the social media and the gun industry?
I mean, I don't necessarily think they're destroying themselves. That picture you sent, that you showed, I mean, a lot of people find that to be gun porn. I mean, in a matter of speaking. So, it's one of those things that I know someone who just wrote it up there. Mystery family, sex does sell. And if you have good-looking women who are going to be promoting firearm ownership, as long as they're doing it, in a safe manner. I mean, most of these gun bunnies, as we call them, the pictures you see of them, they are proper trigger discipline. The muzzle's pointing in the right direction. Whatever it is, it could bring other people into the industry. So on one hand, you could say, yeah, they're destroying their image. But on the other hand, you could say, oh, it's like oh, man, now you got me messed up. Alana said, no, you would rather have a woman who has a bad rep in the industry than someone who is anti-gun. So if you have these women who are taking pictures like that, the guys will sell the product and girls want, what's that? I forgot what movie it's from. I think it's from Austin Powers. Guys want to be him and girls want to be with him. It's the same mentality. And I can't believe I just quoted Austin Powers to prove a point in the gun industry.
Indeed. Jackie, what's your take on this?
Well, so I've written a couple articles on gun bunnies before and talked to gun bunnies just to get their perspective. And I think the interesting thing here is we're assuming that they're destroying their image, but they don't see it that way. They don't see it as any kind of negative thing or anything that detracts from the gun industry. So, I think that's an interesting perspective to take in mind that for some of the women in the industry, like like me, we see it as a detraction or something that could be destructive, but a lot of the gun bunnies don't. That being said, I think why women get into that is because it's easy. I mean, it's hard to grind like some of us do, and to have to, work as hard as we do and train as hard as we do. It's a lot easier to throw a bikini on and grab a gun because, your likes are going to go up. And, we do live in a narcissistic society, and people do want to, want those likes. They look for that validation from the internet, and it's a lot easier to get it when you're in a bikini than it is when you're, just doing your thing, trying to make progress.
Very good point. Very good point. And I think Gigi also made another viable point that maybe some of them are trying to get our attention first so that they can voice their viewpoint later. And that's, it could be. I would say that the situation that revolved around the picture that I showed, the rest of the story is that this is actually a gun business that was given a picture of one of their clients to use on a personal basis. So they decided to put it onto their business page and then blast it out of them. The moment that you started to call them out on the gun safety aspect of that picture, you were immediately blocked from that. So obviously this company doesn't particularly care for criticism, but I was really frustrated when I saw that picture because of immediately, and I hate to even admit this, but immediately looking at that picture, I wasn't seeing pistols, right? Because the majority of that picture was a woman's
Booty.
yeah, I'm trying to be politically correct here, but so that made it extremely uncomfortable for me, and I felt bad because I was like, oh hey, oh wait,
But we're talking about it. So didn't it achieve its point? I mean, it brought them what they wanted, which was attention. So I mean,
and Izzy makes a viable point. He says that I don't think it works the other way around, though. Case in point, I don't think anyone wants to see Adam Kraut or John Patton in bikinis.
Izzy Long, I think everybody wants to see Adam Kraut and John Patton in bikinis. Where did you get that idea from?
Can we start a petition? Can we send them one?
Yes.
Just attach it to Adam Kraut's petition for the board of directors of the NRA.
Well, and actually, you know what? I do want to address that though, because I absolutely wholeheartedly believe that there are male versions of gun bunnies out there. Case in point being pretty much everybody that has ever worked for Black Rifle Coffee Company. I mean, like you go on their page and it's basically the same thing, but with dudes.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like I always see like a shirtless guy or so. I mean, heck, I even saw one of the people that works for them posting a picture in like a man thong holding a rifle. So, I mean, guys can do it too. Absolutely. It's just not as common. And I don't think that it gets as noticed as being, like a provocative kind of thing because it's more rare. So I think that people normally see that as just kind of being funny. Whereas, you see a girl half naked on the internet. Oh, just another day,
True. Very true. And I think that the male gun bunnies are obviously focused directly on the tacticalness of it because you have like Matt Best, right? Everybody knows Matt Best. He's like, super cool SF dude, and he's incredibly funny, and he puts out these incredibly funny videos and stuff like that. So naturally, everybody's going to gravitate there and want to be just like him. So that's a good point. A very good point. Hopefully, one of these days, I will be a male gun bunny.
That's the goal, really.
I got to get those numbers up. All right, my numbers right now, those are rookie numbers. I got to get those numbers up.
I'm a photographer, so anytime you need, give me a call.
Oh, God. I see this working out perfectly.
Okay, so Jackie actually brought something up when she was making her comment was training, right? So one of the next things that I thought we'd talk about real quick is, are women-only training courses necessary? Do you think that it would attract or detract women from getting more involved into the training aspect if there's women-only classes? So we started with Elena.
You had it right the first time.
Can we just call her A? Can we give her a nickname? Yeah. We can be like A. That's what I'm rolling with.
Atlanta. I know. I'm going to beat this beast. All right. I'm going to get her name right.
I mean, you could. I've had people just call me Atlanta before. You just throw in the T's and then you got it.
Yeah, I know. You've already told me that, and it doesn't work. Okay, so I'll pitch it to Jackie. Jackie, you go first. What is your opinion on the idea of women-only courses?
So I don't think there's anything wrong with women's only gun training. I think especially on the beginner level, it can bring a lot of women in because there are women who want to get into shooting, but they're a little bit intimidated by being in a room full of alpha males. And so I think on a beginner level, it's a good thing. I think past that, is there a need? Not really. I think that you can learn just as well under a good male instructor as you can a female instructor. And I also think it's helpful to be surrounded by men in the industry I think it goes twofold. I think you can learn a lot from the other people in the class, and I think it also helps men become more accepting of women in those environments. Not that they aren't already, but you have the occasional holdout. But I think it's good on a beginner level. Do we need to carry it all the way through to advanced classes? I don't think so.
So you would be more apt to have a course that would help integrate women into training courses, a all women course that is like a familiarization. You think that's more in line with a all women course? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, just kind of like a basic starting point of, fundamentals and, choosing guns, choosing holsters, because there are certain things that are female specific. Like, I don't know a lot of guys that run around in dresses, but there are women who do. And there are, how do I carry in a dress? So I think those kinds of classes are good and they're helpful, and they do help educate women on how to do things safely, because there are a lot of bad women's gear out there that is just being pushed forward because it's women's. So I think when you have female instructors who can fight those negative narratives, that's always a good thing. But yeah, like once you get into like some of the higher level learning stuff, past that, I don't think it's as necessary.
Very good. How about you, Yehuda? Is there a need for it, or do you think that women should just buck up and come along with us men?
I will say this, and it's gonna be short and simple. I 100% agree with Jackie. I've been my friends who are not into firearms, my friends' wives, they've asked me about it, and I say, if you guys want to do all women's courses, they're out there. It's great for beginners. I know my friends' wives, for example, they're never going to take it to the next level of becoming, expert courses and stuff like that, or advanced courses. But I do agree with Jackie completely.
Very good. Very good. And we're going to pitch it over to the semi-armed banana.
Oh God, that's a new one. Yeah, I mean, I hate to beat a dead horse, but I tend to be right there on the same page with both of them. I've been a part of the Well-Armed Woman. It's like a female-based training that is nationwide, and I think that they do a fantastic job of recruiting women into the firearms industry. So I think that they do play, female-only classes play a very important role. And especially also when you have like ladies' night at gun ranges and things like that, I think it does a really great job of making women feel more comfortable in a male-dominated industry. But yeah, once you get to a certain point, then I think that you're hindering kind of the learning experience, because then you're just kind of cutting yourself off of an entire demographic of very knowledgeable firearms instructors if you choose to only stay with female only classes and training and things like that. So well done, Jackie.
Thank you.
So I'm not necessarily opposed to all women courses, but my question, and this is kind of a rhetorical one, would anybody be opposed to all male courses? Right. I think that is something that we are kind of forced into this day and age, that, well, if there's all, one of X, then that means that there should be all of one Y, correct? So I'm not opposed to it, but at the same time, would women be okay with an all male course? I don't know if that's something that maybe we can get into later, but a familiarization course, I'm all for it. I think that to allow women to, or anyone necessarily, to get over that hump of handling a firearm for the first time and shooting a firearm for the first time is extremely important. So if that means that it has to be all sex oriented, then by all means, do so. And to toot my own horn, I have been asked as a Army spouse to wrangle up a lot of the Army spouses in my wife's unit. And we're going to the range this weekend, and we're going to shoot a whole bunch of different guns. We've got a 22 long rifle pistol. We're going to have a 22 long rifle rifle. We're going to have a 9mm of various different platforms, AR, and then maybe even the 6.5 Creedmoor if they want to go to the big boy. But at the end of the day, whatever gets an individual over that hump and familiarize, I'm all for it. So question from the chat room, and I'll just pitch it to you guys, and whoever answers first. Let me scroll back up so I get the correct verbiage here. Has gear for women improved over the last year? And that kind of falls into the training aspect as well.
I think yes, to some degree. I think there's been a bigger push, at least I know among, some of my writer friends who are female, to make sure that women know the difference between good gear and bad gear. I think more companies are starting to actually listen better. That being said, there's still a lot of bad gear out there. There's still a lot of gear that when people tell me what they're carrying with, I'm like, oh, let's evaluate the safety of that. I think the industry, as always, is trying. It's a slow progress, though.
Do you think it's a slow progress because of the newness of it?
Yes, to some degree. I think that the newness of it, and I think sometimes companies don't want to listen to women. Like, they have in their mind, kind of similar to Pink It and Shrink It, they have it in their mind what they think women want, and they don't bother actually talking to, good female instructors or, good female shooters and getting their input. They kind of just throw it on the market and they make it look pretty. They bedazzle it, and, women buy it.
You buy bedazzled things?
Oh, I've got tons of bedazzled things. You don't even know. You don't even know.
All right, Banana, what do you got?
Oh, geez. So I think that to an extent, gear for women it's a little silly, except when you get to like the off chance that you might need to carry when you're wearing a dress or something like that, because generally good gun gear is good gun gear, regardless of who's using it, right? So like my Kydex holster is just as good for me as it is for any guy that would want to carry it, right? But when it comes to women specific items for self-defense, I think that there is just a horrible saturation of the market right now of bad products that are unsafe. And I think that while, yeah, it is absolutely necessary, like I did have to kind of give in to like not the best products in the world to be able to carry when I wear a dress. I own a garter holster. It is not my optimal or prime choice of holster, right? It doesn't have Kydex. It doesn't really protect the trigger very well. So I tend to think that by having such a huge amount of female specific gun gear in the industry right now, it seems like it's actually devolving and getting worse. So I tend to disagree with Jackie on this one.
Very interesting. What about you, Yehuda? You think that things have changed? I mean, just from what you've seen at maybe some of the conventions like NRAM and seeing some of the new products that are out there, do you think that things are, moving exponentially, or is it kind of still a slow rise?
I mean, because my focus tends to be more gun safety, I haven't really paid attention to much female gear out there. It's not something I do even on my weekends. I just kind of, let's put it this way, I live in Texas, not Los Angeles anymore, so I don't pay attention to that kind of stuff. But no, truth of the matter is, like Alana said, a Kydex holster that works for me will work for her, to the most part. I don't think you really need to have that much. When I think of women's gear, I think more along the lines of, what kind of clothing is out there that a woman can wear comfortably and conceal a firearm without it being, printing or anything like that. That's what I think of more, not necessarily, will this belt, will this tactical belt work for a man and woman? I don't really think that way. Also, my wife is not into firearms that much, so it's not something I really had to look into. You know, I do know there are some great companies out there that have been making female clothing that, from what I've seen, looks pretty spectacular. I'm sure everyone here, or at least Alana and Jackie, are familiar with, familiar with Amy Robbins. Mm-hmm. And her clothing company, Alexo Athletica, I mean, I've never tried her clothing on, but from what I've seen in person, it looks like she did a phenomenal job gearing workout clothing for women to be able to carry whatever type of firearm or whatever kind of defensive tool they want to use in any kind of situation. So I think there's stuff out there, but like Alana said, a Kydex holster for her will work for me. It's just which one you want to use.
Very good. Very good. I know that one of the products out there that the Semi-Arm Banana has brought up time and time again is can concealment. I believe that there is even a great picture of a pistol on Alana's leg on her Instagram page, which really highlights the ability of a woman to wear or conceal a weapon with a dress. So I think that's pretty cool. Obviously, I don't wear dresses, so I don't know how effective that actually is. But yeah. So there's that. I had another question from the and I just want to make this one real quick because I want to dive into the next question I have. But one of the other questions, and I'll just kind of paraphrase it, as a conservative, say husband or wife, it can go either way. As a conservative husband or wife, how do I get my left-leaning spouse to get more involved into firearms? And this time I'll start off with Yehuda. How would you, because you just mentioned that your wife isn't really into guns, how would you think that you could maybe persuade her to get a little bit more involved?
Well, when I say my wife isn't into guns, it has nothing to do with political reasons. She's just, guns to her are boring. I don't think she just doesn't care about them. But my wife is somewhat of a smart person, and she sees what's going on in the world today. And we have 3 kids, and she really, just a few days ago, she even said to me, she's like, I think I'm almost at that point where I want to start learning to shoot more. And, just learning to shoot that, God forbid, if something happens, I can use your gun. And like, I played it cool. I'm like, yeah, I think that's a good idea. It only took 10 years, but hey, it's all good. And like inside, I'm like, woohoo, rock song, like I was going crazy that she actually suggested that. So, I mean, you can't push anybody. The minute you start pushing someone to do something that they're not comfortable doing or not ready to do yet, you're not going to persuade them in any way. So you just got to talk to them about it, show them that the A versus B and stuff like that, and hopefully eventually they might warm up to it. Very good, very good.
Jackie, what are your thoughts? You have anything on that?
Yeah, I think that kind of what Yehuda said. It's important not to push, because when you start pushing people, then they tend to dig their heels in. And I'll go out and say I'm a little bit more left-leaning in a lot of my political beliefs, except for guns. I'm a libertarian. So, kind of from that angle, don't be pushy. Don't be the stereotypical gun nut, if you will, and be like, here, just take this. Invite, if it's your wife, it's your husband, whoever, invite them to the range with you. Make it a couples activity. Make it a date night. Make it fun. Go out to dinner and then go shooting. And then, definitely if it's your wife, or even if it's a smaller guy, don't hand them your 12-gauge shotgun right off the bat and be like, here, pull the trigger. Start them out small. Start them out. When I say small, I don't mean like you have to hand her a 22 caliber, but something that is not going to be scary or intimidating, because the media likes to put forth this assault rifle and scary guns. Maybe start with something small and be patient. I've taken friends to the range who was their very first time, and all they could manage was just holding an unloaded gun. And then the next time we went and watched other people shoot. And then the next time they took my CERT training pistol and they practiced trigger press. It doesn't have to be all in one night. Go at the pace that they're comfortable with, maintain your patience. And at the end of the day, if you can't do that, try to get them into a course or with an instructor or another one of your friends who maybe is a little bit more objective and can make it feel less intimidating.
Very good. Very good. The semi-armed banana, what do you think?
Oh my gosh, I'm never going to live this down. So I have a lot of experience with being surrounded by left-leaning people because I used to live in the People's Republic of New York. So what I used to do is I would approach everything from a safety aspect because people have a really hard time arguing with safety, right? Because it's important no matter what. So one thing that I used to do is I would tell my left-leaning friends about the 4 rules of firearm safety. And I would basically tell them that they need to memorize those 4 rules because we have new stats out now, okay? There are about 400 million firearms in the United States. So the chance that any American is going to come into contact with a firearm at some point in their life, they need to know how to treat it. So I think that coming at it from that perspective tends to help. And if we're talking about a wife specifically, I don't know if this was somebody's wife or husband, but if we're talking about a wife, I really like to give the aspect of empowerment. Being able to rely on yourself for your own safety is definitely a really a solid start for a lot of women to, bridge the gap and really start getting into firearms.
Great point. Especially in this day and age, empowerment is a buzzword right now, especially for women's rights, equality, and stuff like that. I think that's a very good point. I think if my wife was not as into guns as she is, I think that conversation and really work that slow burn aspect of it, just slowly just dropping those little seeds in there of, man, I don't know if did you hear about the lady that wasn't able to defend herself and was waiting for the cops to come by and she ended up getting hurt or whatever, and just having those conversations that say, I really want you to be able to protect yourself. I worry about you when I'm not around, or not to say that I have to be the one to protect you, but I would like for you to be confident enough to know that you don't have to have me around, And that's actually a conversation that my wife has had about our daughter. When do we start getting her into stuff that help her protect herself and so on and so forth? So I think that's slow burn conversation and slowly working up. Hey, let's go on a date and let's go shoot some targets. Let's paste a picture of my face and you can shoot you can shoot at me when you're irritated at me or something like that.
Well, Mark, I'll tell you, it's like that I actually don't think I sent it to Jackie. I'll send it to you right now, but it's like I sent you and Alana today that shirt that I'm making.
Yes.
I mean, that's exactly what it comes down to. Jackie, I'm gonna message you right now.
I was about to say, I feel so left out right now.
I'm sorry.
Cry in my corner. It's okay.
Oh no, Jackie.
I'm sending it to you right now.
No, it's actually a really, really great idea for a t-shirt, and I love it. I love the idea. I'm not going to spoil it because I'd hate for anybody to kind of take the idea and run, but it really hits that hammer on, or hits that nail. What am I trying to say? Hits the nail on the head. There we go. Oh my goodness. So anyway, so there's that. So let's transition here. We're getting into a point where we're got about 20 minutes left, and I think that this last question is really going to hit. I don't know if it's going to hit a nerve or not, but hopefully it will generate a little bit more conversation. Real quick, I wanted to say hey to a couple people into the chat room that just jumped in. Coda Boy 32 Tactical, good to see you, sir. Airborne. Drew Lovelace, he's jumped in as well. I've got Big Al. I've seen that he's jumped in, and some great conversation going along. If you've jumped in, I'm sorry I missed you, but those are the ones I've seen here recently. So the final aspect or the final question that I wanted to run by everybody, and hopefully this will lead us out the rest of the hour, is does the gun industry focus too much on the victim narrative for women? And with that, we will start with, who should we start with? We'll go with Alana Banana on this one.
Oh, nice job. Okay, so I came so prepared because I had a feeling we were going to talk about victimization in the firearms industry. So I looked up some statistics and I did my research. So I thought that this was so important to have for this conversation. So according to the National Institute of Justice, about 1.87 million men were the victims of violent crime in 2016, compared to 1.75 million women. So more men are actually victims of violent crime. And the victims of murder in America for that same year, 77.8% were male and only 22.2% were female. So
interesting.
With that being said, I just really wanted to put it out there that I think everywhere, not just the gun industry, but everywhere in the media and every other industry and politicians, everybody pushes this narrative that women are victims, and we're just getting attacked all day and kidnapped all night. I don't know. And I think really, if we want to have an honest conversation about it, we need to start talking about men being victims too, because that's happening. I mean, it's clear, even though, yes, women are, of course, I should have looked up the rape statistics, but I know for a fact that more women on average are raped than men. That kind of goes without saying. So women might be victimized more frequently as far as perhaps sexual assault goes, but overall, across the board, men are victimized more than women. And yet women get talked down to constantly in every industry. And so, I mean, I don't think that the narrative of victimization should necessarily be taken away because it is an unfortunate reality that we have to live with. I think that we need to start doing more empowering. And I think that really the gun industry is the only place that does that. They say, hey, you're a victim, but we'll help, right? Whereas, any other politician talking, like, you take Senator Elizabeth Warren, for example, she's going to tell you all day that you're a victim and you can't do anything about it except yell at men. And that's it. Right. So if anything, I think that we need to start treating everybody like they're victims, because clearly men and women are being victimized all across the board, and get more people to start carrying guns, and then we'll be safer. Now I'll get off my soapbox.
Oh, well. How do you feel about it there, Yehuda?
I agree with Alana to a certain extent. I am from the mindset that stop making everyone a victim. I'm not saying you're not a victim, but start talking about being a survivor more than a victim. Okay, I get it. People are victimized in certain ways, and I'll tell you more than anything, in the Jewish world, playing the victim card is so common, it drives me up the wall. But yeah, shit happens. Okay, it's gonna happen. When you call a person a victim, it's much harder to break out of that mentality than when you're saying, hey, look, we understand what you went through, but you survived it. You're a survivor. You're stronger than being a victim. So, I kind of have to disagree with Alana on that aspect, is that in terms of stop using the word victim as much as it is, as much as it's out there. There are people that are survivors. I mean, I know people who unfortunately were raped, and I'm friends with them, and they don't like to be called victims. Now, look, thank God I've never been victimized in any real way. Maybe a couple anti-Semitic remarks here and there, but you know, that's comes with being a Jew, unfortunately, in today's day and age. But you know, it's exactly like the shirt I'm wearing. It's one of my shirts, which I guess I'll debut it on your show right now. But it's my shirt that, you know, the Jews have a saying, never again, right? But never again means nothing if you're not willing to do something about it. So my shirt says never again. It says buy a gun, learn the basics, frequent a gun range, train with it, and survive, right? I'm not trying to be a victim of anything. I am trying to show people that I have survived something and I have come out stronger. So yes, I believe that the, as you called it, the Gundustry, I really do believe that they concentrate very much on victimhood because that's what's going to sell. That's what's going to, hey, look, you're a victim. Let us help you. You know, give us your money. We'll help you. And I think that's a big issue. I think, no, good for you for surviving what you did. Now let's take it to the next step so that you don't become a victim again, that you are still a survivor. So that's my thoughts.
Very good. Very good. And I'll swing it over to Jackie. How do you feel?
So I definitely agree with Yehuda on this one, that we need to change the narrative to one of survival. You know, it's too easy to fall into that victim narrative of like, I'm a victim and I can't do anything about it. And I think that that's demeaning to women. I think that, you know, it doesn't help anything. Women are the victim of violence. Yes, we do suffer violence, but we're so much more than that. You know, for the women who have suffered through that, they're survivors. They should be championed. It should be all about empowerment. And I think women would respond much better to that, I think, in the gun industry than that of fear mongering and victimhood and, you know, you poor scared little woman, you better get a gun, or, you know, you won't be able to defend yourself. I think if we did more of an empowerment and we focused on the strengths of women and propping that up over the weaknesses, we get a lot more accomplished.
Indeed, indeed. And one of the things that I will say is I don't necessarily believe that there is a focus of a woman's victimhood perspective in the gun industry. And one of the reasons why I'll point to why I don't necessarily believe there is that overarching theme is I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and of the gun YouTube videos that are actually monetized and have commercials playing ahead of it, one of the most predominant, or I should say two of the most predominant commercials that I see is from the USCCA, right? So that's the U.S. Concealed Carry Association. It's basically insurance for concealed carry holders. And the other one is the NRA ad that has the gentleman from South Carolina that got up and spoke in front of the town hall meeting.
Mark Robinson.
Yes. Yeah. I always forget his name, but yes, that was a very powerful speech. Those are two of the most of the commercials that I see the most of from YouTube. And that's kind of my one source of media. And neither occasions has that harped on women victimization, but rather victimization as a whole, right? So I think that they've done a decent job of trying to keep it level, but I still agree with the panel here that we do need to change our mindset, and it shouldn't be about victimization. It should be about the responsibility to not only, teach other people responsible gun ownership, but also understand that we are responsible for our own protection, right? No one else is going to come and save us. I mean, in most cases, police response times could be 2 to 8 minutes in length of time before someone can get to you if you're in dire need. And I can tell you, being in situations where you've been shot at, 2 minutes is a very long time, right? So I would like to see the industry change its mindset to the responsibility of gun ownership and the responsibility of taking care of ourselves and our loved ones, and try to keep that victimization out of it. Would you guys agree with that, or am I going a little bit overboard?
No, I would agree
no,
with that,
oh, sorry. Go ahead, Jackie.
No, go ahead. No, you go.
Oh, okay. God, you're so polite. No, so I think I definitely agree with what you're saying, Mark. And I just want to clarify that I don't think that everybody should be treated like victims, okay? Because that's what the left does. What I'm trying to say, though, is that I think that men and women are victimized equally. So by trying to treat one gender as if they're victims more so we need to market them as victims, I think that that's inappropriate. But yeah, I absolutely agree, though, that I think that the gun industry is definitely doing a better job of empowering women to protect themselves and to be their own protection in general. Definitely more than any other, industry out there.
Indeed. Jackie.
Yes, I agree. I think that the gun industry is making strides to do better and get away from some of the fear-based marketing and fear-based advertising. I still think there's a long way to go. And I almost think that we could potentially maybe even bring in more left-leaning or central people if we did focus more on the empowerment aspect, if we focused more on the positive aspects instead of it being looming and scary and all of that. I think if we empowered and we pushed more positivity into that, and kind of came at it from that angle, we might even be able to bring in people from the other side that maybe haven't considered it.
Very good. Very good. Anything to add, Yehuda?
No, I'm pretty much in agreement with that.
All right. Well, we got just a few more minutes before we hit the top of the hour. I wanted to try to keep this close to 1 hour as possible. So I did see something kind of scroll through the chat room that caught my eye, and I wanted to throw this to you guys. I will start with Yehuda. Pink guns, yes or no?
So I actually touch on this in my book, In Safety On. In the book, I write, it follows the little boy, and he talks about how his father owns a bunch of different guns, black ones, big ones, small ones, green ones, and even a pink one from my mother. Now, I got a lot of flack from a lot of women in the industry at the onset of the book coming out, but after I explained why I wrote it, they kind of were like, okay, we hear what you're saying, and that actually makes perfect sense. If you want a pink gun, I'm not gonna stop you. I don't think, guns have to be black and sleek or olive drab or OD or camouflage, whatever it is. I have no problems with, whatever kind of the Tiffany blue gun. I really don't care. My big concern with colored guns is this. You need to teach your children that even if a gun is colored, it's still not a toy. You have Nerf guns, water guns, dart guns, all these different types of guns that are just a variety of colors. And that's what makes me nervous about different colored guns, is that it could possibly show children that, oh, look, it's a toy gun. It's like a Nerf gun, and makes them more prone to picking it up. As long as you are teaching proper gun safety and teaching them that, hey, a pink gun is still a real gun, then, like I said, really don't care what color your gun is.
Outstanding. Good points. Very good points. Jackie, what do you think?
So I think Big Al stole what I was going to say over in the chat room. So we're on the same page on this. But it's not pink guns that I have a problem with. It's the pink gun mentality of the gun industry that I have the issue with. It's the idea that we pink it and shrink it, which is we make it pink and we make it small. And here you go, women, you're welcome. That's the issue with pink guns, that we're all like, women are supposed to be excited and clap for that. If you want to carry a pink gun, girl, you do you, or guy. If you want, real men wear pink. I saw that in the chat room too, and I agree. If you want to carry a unicorn gun or Hello Kitty, I've always wanted a Hello Kitty AK. That's beside the point. Anyway, but if you want to roll that way, then you do it. But it's the idea that women can only have pink guns, or women should only be shown pink guns. You know, it's the frustration of going into a gun store and a guy looking at me from behind the counter and being like, well, come here, sweetie. Here's a cute little pink Ruger. No, I'm not here for that. You know, so it's more the mindset or the mentality behind the pink guns than it is the actual color.
Very good. Very good. Semi-armed banana, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. Jackie said that very well. I know, I think I may have shared this on a previous episode of Keep Calm and Carry, but, you know, just not too long ago, I was at a gun shop. I asked to see a Glock 43, and the guy behind the counter was like, oh, do you want to see the Tiffany blue Glock? And like, no, I didn't ask to see the Tiffany blue Glock. If I wanted to see it, I would have asked for it. No, I asked for a Glock 43. Anywho, that really frustrated me. So, I mean, I think that it is very, very frustrating that women get treated this way. And yet you don't see these, like, you don't see a whole lot of special colored guns for men out there. You don't see men getting asked, oh, do you want to see the pink gun? You might get, you know, men getting caught up with a bunch of Punisher skulls. There's that. But either way, I think that it has a lot more to do with the mentality of the gun industry and the direction that we're going there. The other issue too that I see with it, and by the way, I really like what Yehuda touched on. I always forget to think about how kids can perceive these things because I don't have any. But I think that it kind of takes away the seriousness aspect, because we need to remember that these firearms are for a purpose, you know, and if you're going to be carrying one on you, like let's say that you're carrying a pink Glock 43, you need to make sure that you are respecting that firearm and treating it with the, you know, seriousness that you need to be treating it with. So I think that when we start making them pretty colors for girls, it kind of takes away from that.
Very good. Very good. One of the things that I always say is that my wife's first pistol that we ever bought for her was a SIG P238. So it's the 380 version of the 938. And she got it specifically because it had pink pearled grips on it. And she is all about, I want a pink gun. That's what I want. And I asked her several times, I was like, well, why do you want a pink gun? I get it. You know, you like pink things, that's fine. But she goes, because if someone comes in my house, they're going to get shot with a pink gun, and it's going to be on the news that an intruder came in my house and got shot by a pink gun. And so we get a laugh out of that, and that's funny. But she also likes the idea of being unique, right? And so she likes to set herself apart from the rest of everything else that's out there. So, you know, right or wrong, I personally don't care what color your pistol is, as long as you're trained, you know how to use it, and you can use it effectively to protect yourself or anyone else. But again, I have to harp on exactly what Alana Banana said and Yehuda when it comes to the importance of teaching kids the idea that just because a firearm is a different color doesn't mean that it's less lethal or less dangerous. And I saw someone in the chat room, WW Clay 86, said that his daughter knows not to mess with any gun whatsoever, and I applaud that, and I applaud Yehuda for bringing that up. So, any last words on that topic right there for pink guns?
I do just want to throw in one more thing. I think I just want to say this is something that has also spilled into the hunting industry quite a bit. And one of the things at my old job, we actually used to focus on fighting this quite a bit, was that, you know how hunters wear blaze orange, you know, for deer season and things like that. So that particular color of orange had like historical research done on why that was the best color to be used. And then all of a sudden the hunting industry said, oh, we need to get more girls involved, so we're going to give them neon pink things to wear instead. And it was not backed by research to prove that that was the best color to wear. And so it's just kind of this random thing that gets thrown out on everything. And people in the outdoor industry just think, oh, girls are going to like it because it's pink. But it's not the best idea. It could be a good recruiting tool, but I don't think that it's worth it for kind of destroying what firearms and hunting should be.
Well, you know who thinks orange is not a good color to go hunting with? Dick Cheney.
Oh my goodness. You're ridiculous. Okay. Well, that puts us right at the top of the hour. We're going to go off on a high note right there. So we'll go ahead and shut this down. We'll go through the panel real quick. Remind everybody where they can find you and something that you want everybody to know. We'll go ahead and start with Alana. Tell us where we can find you and anything else that you want to go. We'll go from Alana to Jackie to Yehuda. Go ahead.
Sure. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed being on today. I can't thank you enough for putting this panel together. And thank you to Yehuda and Jackie for joining. This was super fun. So if you guys want, you can check out my podcast, The Semi-Armed Life. It is available on iTunes and SoundCloud. And we are also on Instagram at Semi-Armed Life. And my Instagram is at Alana America. So thank you.
Right on. Jackie.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, and thanks to Yehuda and Alana. Yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
For awesome discussion and awesome perspectives. This was a lot of fun. So yeah, you can catch me Instagram, Micro Jackie with an I, no E. And then you can also check me out daily on guns.com. I write 5 days a week for them, as well as Shooting Sports USA. And I just started writing for concealcarry.com as well. So you can find some of my work over there too.
Right on. Yehuda, sir.
Of course, I'm going to thank Alana, Jackie, Mark, and all the great people on this big window here, the chat window. All you guys, thank you. Great questions. If people want to find me, they can find me on Instagram, Twitter at the Pew Pew Jew. And if you want to know more about me or my books, you can go to yehudareamer.com. And that's about it.
Outstanding. Outstanding. First and foremost, I want to say thank you very much to all of our panel members. I sure do appreciate it. One of the great things is I want to tell you guys how much I appreciate your friendship and the fact that we can come together and maybe kind of poke at each other and get a dialogue out there. It's been a lot of fun. I really look forward to getting this together again. Hopefully we can do this kind of on a monthly basis and maybe even throw someone else in there where I can just moderate and allow, a special guest to come in and kind of throw a curveball at us a little bit. So thank you so much for your guys' time. Chat room, you guys are awesome. I love seeing the comments going every which way. You guys are having your own conversations, which is awesome. So I sure do appreciate it. If you haven't already hit that thumbs up, please do if you guys really enjoyed this, and we will get this together again here in just a few more weeks if everybody's schedule's free. So with that being said, thanks again. I hope you guys have a great Thursday night. Tomorrow is Friday. It starts the weekend, so enjoy your weekend. Hopefully you guys have some time to get out to the range and put some freedom seeds downrange and get some training in as well. Thank you so much. I sure do appreciate it. And take care, y'all. Be safe and keep calm and carry, I guess. Right? No? Battle of the sexes? I don't know how to end this. Take care, guys. Have a good night.